It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Oil Stream, brought to you by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. It's the best-looking Oilers podcast in the city. Dusty and Tommy Gazzola with you as well, right? Like, you're a handsome man. I got this big, like, ripped beard from, like, Yellowstone still, if that's the thing. Yeah, we got her all covered, buddy.
You're a dashing man.
Oh, thank you, Tommy. You're a kind gentleman yourself, buddy. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's good. All right, so nothing says heading into the weekend like a delicious Popeye's chicken sandwich. In fact, damn it, I was going to actually skip the dishes some to my house today so I could bite into a sandwich while we were doing the oil stream. But then I was doing lock shop, got too busy and forgot. So anyway, yeah, maybe I'll go after. I gotta run out and do some shit for one of my kids' birthdays after this. So maybe I'll pick up a Popeye's chicken sandwich today.
Whose birthday? The Muzz?
Well, the Muzz turns 6 on couple Tuesdays from now, and then Marshall turns 8 early March. So we're in mad scramble mode for both kids. So
Gotcha.
Yep, that's my life. We're gonna get to some stuff for Cool Bet a little bit earlier on. Connor McDavid, you can bet on Connor McDavid and the Super Bowl. Lay it out for you. If you've listened to Two Guys and a Goalie, we saw yesterday, but we're going to circle back around to that. Boston Pizza Appetizer coming up as well. Tommy, fascinated to find out how the post-game show went, because when I logged in this morning, your show was the last one, and I saw one guy, he was like on full-blown tilt. He's like, they're going to lose to Ottawa. They're going to lose to Montreal. It's going to be 4 losses to bottom feeders in the East. I just was like, Tommy's show must have been freaking amazing last night.
It was, I don't know if it's like the 5 o'clock thing, but like people were angry. Some were like, relax. It's not a big deal. They still got a point. And then like that one guy who I'm like, I can't read this. Like, this is way overboard. So I'm glad you looked back and saw what we were dealing with last night. But it was kind of subdued. I think people are seeing that this team is picking up points, even though they're not playing their best games. Is it concerning? Yeah, a little bit, because it's 2 games in a row. But nobody called to freak out, which was interesting, because usually after a bad loss,
you get a couple of,
you get a few people that are a little soused up. But again, I think it's just the time of the day. So a lot of people were upset with Draisaitl because of his lack of
fair enough
drive. But I think if they lose Saturday, I think people are going to be really upset. And Ottawa hasn't been a good building to Edmonton over the course of its history. And then Montreal, if they lose both of these, then rightly so, people will be pissed off. But it's kind of been like
both of these.
Yeah, I think people are just looking at it and being like, "What are you guys doing?" So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
I was like, if last night's game happens when they'd lost 4 of 7 or something,
right?
Then I kind of get it, right? Like I tweeted last night. I mean, goaltending's been great since the All-Star break. Draisaitl wasn't into it last night. They're 8-0-2 in their last 10. They've got a 10-game point streak going for the first time in 16 or 17 years or whatever it is.
Since 05.
Would have liked to win that game, but not the end of the world, right? It's just that I know everybody always wants to freak out about everything, and we're going to discuss it because that's what this program does and your program does and my radio show does. But in the end, buddy, it's not the end of the world last night, right?
No, they're
I don't think so.
Second, they're 3 points back of Vegas. They're okay. They're going to be fine. They just need to wake up.
So Draisaitl, though, Draisaitl's an interesting discussion here. I saw somebody reply to me and be like, Dusty, overall, he's been underwhelming this year. And I'm like, he's second in the league in scoring. Like, he hasn't been underwhelming this year. Literally was a message I got. However, the last 2 games, he doesn't have a shot. And the 2 games before the break, they had the game where they shit-kicked Chicago and everybody was in on it. And then the game before that, I thought that game against Columbus, I remember we were talking after the Columbus game, we're like, that might have been his worst game of the season. So 3 of his last 4 games have been very meh. Like, what's going on there, Tommy? You think, I know everybody, I got the text today. I'm sure you got him last night. Dusty, Draisaitl's got to be hurt. Like, he's not pushing. He's not doing this. If he is hurt, he's having a pretty good season for a hurt guy. He had pretty good playoffs last year, and he was more significantly injured there. Yeah. Sometimes Draisaitl just doesn't check in. Like his area, he just doesn't check in. I feel like that's happened a couple of times.
Probably the best way to describe it. If he was hurt, he wouldn't have gone to Turks and Caicos for a few days and then to Miami for the All-Star game. So if a guy's legitimately hurt, he's getting treatment, he's rehabbing, using that time wisely. The guy went on vacation with his girlfriend and with McDavid and his girlfriend. I think Devin Shore, of all people, was with them too. So.
Huge shout out to Shore for sliding in there, hey?
Great teammate. Great
How come he didn't work? Did he get in any pictures? Was Shore was any pictures?
One or two, yeah.
Okay, all right, good.
I think
good.
that's what I saw him in like one. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So if he was hurt, he wouldn't have gone to the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Guys are banged up there, Bruce. He's probably just in a rut. He's probably in a bit of a lull. He did make a good play yesterday on the Hyman goal that was called back. That was him. That was him hustling to that puck in the corner and making that play happen to get it to Fogle. Fogle takes it to the net, interferes with Carter Hart, and then Hyman bangs it in. Good call, by the way. I think it was the right call. A lot of people didn't like that one.
Buddy, I'm with you 100%. Like when that goal was scored like live, I thought, oh, this is coming back. Like I knew they were going to look at it immediately. Just to me, it was pretty clear cut.
Yeah. And I know Lou and Jack were kind of.
That's what you do. I mean, I've been in a home broadcaster role at different levels. You paint that picture. That's what it is. If you don't, people in the organization are like, you're not on our side. Like you worked for the bloody organization, Tommy. You get it.
Oh, I lived it, man. I would get those phone calls and emails reminding me who I worked for many, many times.
It's one of the reasons I love doing CFL games. Like nationally, because there's no homer side. I'm just freaking excited for everything that happens. It's great. It's like being like being the home broadcaster for both teams, buddy. It's the best.
I quite enjoyed working the sidelines. I hope I get to do it again. Right? It's amazing. So that was one play he made where you're like, okay, that looked good. Like you see him hustling to the puck, but it's an 82 game season. He's second in the league in scoring. I just think he's in a bit of a lull here. He's got to shake it off and get his ass in gear. And I'm sure he knows it very well too. And maybe it starts tomorrow, but people are right to go and say like, what are you doing? Because it has been a little bit lackluster for him and it's okay to say it. I
want to talk about the shootout for a second because you've got two of the best players in the world, arguably the two best players in the world. And McDavid doesn't even get a shot off. I think from the blue line, we were all pretty aware Draisaitl was trying to go 5-hole. I mean, I didn't think there's anything else coming up. Yeah. But Nuge is just a stone cold killer. Like, just walks in, flips it by him like I'm shooting on my son in the basement. I mean, I love how Nuge just flies under the bloody radar all the time. Like, I personally, I think Nuge is better in this shootout than Draisaitl. McDavid's McDavid. He could turn somebody inside out. I'd have him go every time. You got some other options there now. I don't think they ever get away from those three guys, but I just had to give the Nuge a shout out for just making it look so easy.
Well, a few people suggested that like McDavid and mostly Draisaitl, again, he was under a lot of heat yesterday from some of our listeners. We're like, why is he in the shootout? It's like, well, he's second in the league in scoring. He's one of the most dangerous offensive weapons the last 5 years in the National Hockey League. How do you not put him out there? And I threw that to Cass, and Cass is like, yeah, he's like, I don't even know why we're talking about this. And then someone asked about his all-time shootout record. I think it's like 9 for 25 or something like that.
Draisaitl?
Yeah.
It's 9 for 27, but 1 for his last 7.
Yeah. And like the Oilers, you want to extend that. You look at them in OT with McDavid and Draisaitl. I think they won their first 2 this year, and then they've lost everything after that since.
Yeah.
It's just ebbs and flows, man. It's not always going to be perfect. I don't know if there's a real science to it or anything like that, but the other team's trying to, and the shootout's the shootout. The one guy that I would remotely consider would be like Dylan Holloway, just to see what he can give you, but maybe as like the 4th or 5th shooter. Outside of that, I think you're doing fine with what you're rolling out there.
All right, let's get to your Boston Pizza Appetizer. Appy hour, of course, every day from 2 to 5, and again from 9 until close. I had a meeting, a business meeting at Boston Pizza in the Hamptons here yesterday in the lounge, actually. I had a couple of delicious Belgian moons. It was
you did.
And it was right before the game. And I'm telling you, man, that lounge was packed for puck drop. It's a 5 o'clock start right after work. It was a good buzz in the Hamptons Boston Pizza Lounge. So if you're going to watch the games, tough this week. I mean, 10:30 start. I mean, not a great weekend to go and watch games. But when you're going to watch games, hit up that Boston Pizza Lounge, man. Been around for a long time, and it's still terrific. Tommy, waivers right now just came down. Jesse Puljujarvi is not on waivers. Well, you've already got people on Twitter asking us, like, that's weird. Thought he was going to go on here. Yamamoto can come off the LTIR on Sunday. Is there going to be a little bit of a delay in this decision, Gazzola? What's happening here?
I wouldn't be surprised if there was. Like, they don't play again till Wednesday after the game in Montreal, right? So Ken Holland has this habit of, if he doesn't have to make a move, he'll wait it out. He'll kick it down the road a little bit. So I think given these odd times, these start times on Saturday, Sunday, the potential for somebody getting nicked up, and you're not in a situation where you have to rush it. So why make the move now if you're risking somebody getting hurt? You lose a player all of a sudden that you could use for the next couple of days. So I think with Yamamoto, the 12th is the day, and then you don't want him sitting around too long either. Is maybe like Struddy pointed out to me the other day, he's like, if you got a guy that's healthy, his agent's calling the GM saying, what the hell are you doing?
It's time to get playing, right? Like, yeah.
So I feel like they could probably say to Yamamoto, like, just wait till the end of the weekend, keep practicing, get ready for Wednesday. And when the time comes and everything is status quo, we'll make that move. So
basically, there's a game on Sunday that they could activate him for and play him, or they could give him a couple more days before game action and extend their decision, or the inevitable, or whatever we want to call it, on Jesse Puljujarvi, essentially.
Like, slow playing it safe, whatever you want to describe it as. Like, if Yamamoto is jumping into the lineup right now, how much better is he than Derek Ryan? Ryan's been playing okay. How much better is he than Fogle right now? Fogle's been playing okay. Like, I think they're okay with just kind of waiting for it to happen. He's more talented than those guys, obviously. But what I'm saying is, like, you got a team that's doing good things right now, picking up points left, right, and center. Don't mess with that rhythm until you really have to, I think.
So if Puljujarvi's not going to be waived, do you think he plays in one of the two games this weekend?
Yeah, maybe they get him in there for one more. Maybe they take out Ryan. Like, who else would you take out? Would you take out Holloway?
Well, I mean, he's got 4 goals on the year in like 50 games, but I don't mind the way he's playing. I mean, he's been playing okay. Costin hasn't had a point in, I think, 7 games. I don't know if you're going to take him out, though. I mean, it's back-to-backs. Right. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe you get him in, because we have seen Jay Woodcroft in back-to-backs get fresh legs in just to add that element in. So maybe he does play one of those games. What kind of impact it has on...
How bizarre would it be is if he scores, like, it's not going to happen, gets in, scores 2 goals, gets waived on Tuesday. Like, it's just... That'd be something. It seems like it's a done deal anyway, but we're just kind of pushing this thing back. And you never know. I mean, somebody could get hurt on Saturday or Sunday, right? And then...
Exactly. What it'll do if that played out? Just create chaos on my show on Sunday. Yeah. And more chaos on your show on Monday.
Buddy. Monday we'd have the Super Bowl and this Jesse Puljujarvi. He still got it. And then it would be it'd be something. Yeah. It would be, man, I'm here for that. I'm here for the madness on a Monday morning, buddy. That would be great. Yeah. All right, so there you go. That's the latest on the Yamamoto LTIR, Jesse Puljujarvi situations. Your Boston Pizza Appetizer will be live at the Capilano Boston Pizza, 6 o'clock, February 28th. All right, let's continue with the conversation. We'll get to our stuff with Coolbet here in just a second. We'll get some of your questions as well. If you're watching on the live stream on YouTube or Twitter, whatever, throw out a comment. We'll try to get to some of those questions here. I was driving home today after the smash hit Nielsen show, and I heard Low Tide kind of making the case. And I'll lay it out how he laid it out.
Okay.
He said McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman, when they are together, they are ridiculous. And then you can play Nuge as your second line center. His final words were, it might be better off trading for a center to play behind Nuge than a defenseman. Tommy, is there any way prior to the deadline the Oilers acquire a centerman and not a defenseman?
Yeah, I'd say it's possible. If they can't get a defenseman, they strike out. But the priority is a defenseman. That's an interesting...
I think it has to be, doesn't it?
It's an interesting take by Low Tide, and like, I like, obviously he's creating conversation, making you think, and the wheels get turning.
Well, here we are, right?
Yeah, I still think, like, the way that scenario plays out, and from what I understand, would be if they just strike out on every defenseman that they swing for. And I think they'll land something on the back end. And the priority is a blue liner. We know the blue line isn't formidable. It's adequate at best. Some nights, it flies under the radar and nobody gives it heat, but they still need to solidify the D on the left side. Like it's plain and simple. And so if they were to just wind up with an extra centerman, and not a defenseman, I think they would just be in a situation or a scenario that would have to play out where they literally can't land and make a trade for a D-man and someone outbids them or they strike out.
All right, let's get into this. Some questions from our listeners. We already kind of talked about how long can Ken Holland slow walk activating Yamamoto. That's already done. Would you guys trade CeCe? CeCe's not going anywhere, Tommy, right? Like that's
it depends.
He's steady enough, right?
No,
like,
I don't think they are, but like what's coming back? What's coming back? Like is Desharnais is if you're insinuating you're trading CeCe, or would you consider it? Is that saying it because you think Desharnais has pushed? I don't think that's the case yet. I'm rambling here and my thoughts are running, but no, I don't think they're trading CeCe.
John Kovacic says everyone and their dog has Puljujarvi as good as gone from the Oilers. Anything that could happen that would keep him on the roster. Mike says another team could show serious interest in Foegele, and their offer's too good to be true. Outside of that, can't think of much else. I don't think you're getting a too good to be true offer for Foegele, man. Not to disparage his 2 goals lately, but
yeah,
that's not happening, is it?
He's not knocking the socks off many people right now. You have to really love Warren Foegele if you want to go and make a sweetheart deal for him. Yeah.
Taco Bell or Taco Time? I mean, the answer is Popeyes, but I prefer Taco Time over Taco Bell if that's what we're being asked. That's a question.
Yeah.
What were we going to say on Puljujarvi?
There was that one question quickly about Puljujarvi.
An injury? Injury keeps him here?
Yeah, that's the likeliest. Taco Time for sure. Taco Bell is
Taco Time. Yeah,
you're asking for trouble.
Guys, can Broberg, Kulak, or Chychrun play the right side? Here we are slotting in Chychrun. He's not even acquired, but Broberg can play the right side, but he's a rookie. You don't want to put him on the right side right now. He's just kind of selling in on the left side.
Yeah, and remember they tried Bouchard on the left side for a game. And it lasted like
that's right. It was like, yeah, you're right. I remember when they did that.
This reminds me of that very same conversation. I watched Jim Playfair work with Evan Bouchard for like 3 days straight, working off the left side, picking pucks off the wall, backhand to forehand. And they put him out there for like 5 shifts and he was already -2, like 10 minutes into the game. And they're like, never again. So I don't know if you even want to consider sliding Broberg over to the right side. There were a few people that were going in hot and heavy talking about Chychrun being an Oiler. And I'm like, what, where, why, what? I don't know why. I do know why there is a fascination and obsession, but I don't know if people are really listening to what's going on and how that's such a deep cost. And
it just doesn't look like it's happening, right?
Is it the right move for the blue line? It's not going to
even start there. Yeah.
And then there's some people that are suggesting like, if you get Chychrun, then you can move Nurse. It's like, no, he's not going anywhere. He's one of the boys. Like, so I don't know. There's some people that are just so hell bent and so sure that that's happening, but I think it's a bit far-fetched.
Just on the live chat right now on Twitter, somebody says, is Darnell movable in the offseason? He's going nowhere. Like, nowhere. Like, you need to stop asking that question. He's going to have his ups and downs. Like, a lot of the great defensemen in the league don't have many downs. Darnell has some downs, but he's not going anywhere, man. He runs with the crew, right? Like, it's not happening.
He's one of those. He's him, Leon, and Connor.
It's part of they're the core.
Good friends.
Yeah.
And this is, I think I've said it on this show, but I've said it on the pre and post. It's like, people have been talking about McDavid and Draisaitl bolting after their contracts are up. And I say to them, okay, you point to Darnell and how his money ties up a bunch of cap space and the overpay, blah, blah, blah. I understand that. Now, I say to them, and it was Rashad who made this point, I think, a few months ago. He goes, would you give Darnell Nurse $1 million a year more than he deserves to have like a 30% better chance of re-signing both McDavid and Draisaitl? Would you do that? And I was like, yeah, I would. He's a core guy. The cap's going to go up. And to just give yourself a better chance of keeping those other two around, to keep this going, to see where it goes, I think 99% of people would do that, right?
Yeah. Would you overpay Darnell Nurse by $1 million or more for a 30 or 1 in 3 better shot of keeping those guys?
Yeah.
This is not really the way you should operate. But if that's how it's getting done, then I guess that's how it's getting done.
Schauger brought it up, and I was like, oh, good point. I'd never thought of it that way.
It's
Ryan.
strange, but
it is.
Yeah, probably stretching things a little bit, but
anyway, it's just
yeah,
food for
it's
thought.
tough. All right, let's get to this for Cool Bet. If you want to bet on the Super Bowl or the Oilers game versus the Sens or the Habs this weekend, can do it at Cool Bet. Stay cool, bet responsibly. I wanted to tie this bad boy in. Talked about this a little bit on Two Guys and a Goalie yesterday, but here's a cross-sport prop for Sunday. Okay. Patrick Mahomes touchdown passes at -133 versus Connor McDavid points versus the Montreal Canadiens on February 12th. Tommy, will Patrick Mahomes have more touchdown passes than Connor McDavid will have points against the Habs on Sunday?
McDavid will have more points.
You think so?
Yeah, he's been quiet these last couple of games.
He has? Yeah.
He's the kind of guy that gets pissed off when he's not having good games. I want to say a little more ineffective than we expect him to be.
Yeah.
So I think he'll pop off for a big weekend, and he'll cap off the road trip with a big night. So I think he'll get 3 or 4 points in Montreal, and Mahomes throws 2 touchdowns, let's say.
Yeah, 4 would do it for sure. I don't think Mahomes is throwing 4 touchdowns against the Eagles defense. I mean, he might get to 3. Maybe it's just a push. I feel like this could be a push. I could think they could both tie, and then you just get your money back from our wonderful partners over at CoolBet. Stay cool, bet responsibly with CoolBet. And that's where you're going to get all your action. They got over 715 different markets for Super Bowl right now, including a bunch of crazy cross-sport props, which is I'll just say it. It's amazing. I love it. I can't wait to bet on the Super Bowl, buddy. It's going to be absolutely amazing. As was this episode of the Oil Stream. So thank you very much, everybody. It's all brought to you by our great partners at Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Shout out to Boston Pizza and Cool Bet as well. Tommy, you're busy boy this weekend. Right, you got a date on Saturday. You have to work Saturday and Sunday. My goodness, what a great weekend you're about to have.
I'm very excited for this weekend. Lots to do. Starts with hockey tonight. So, Dusty, let's go, baby.
Get us out of here. We'll talk to you later, man.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Be sure to like, share, subscribe if you're not doing it. Smash that thumbs up button. We out. Have a great weekend.